Hey everyone, thank you for attending our Beauty Care series. I'm Ariana Oldenburg, the Assistant Director of the Aveda Institute in Madison. We are honored to have Leah Argento here today to educate us on the HydraFacial. Only HydraFacial uses patented technology to cleanse, extract, and hydrate. The super serums are made with nourishing ingredients that create an instantly gratifying glow in just 3 easy steps. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Leah Argento.
Management team at Neroli Salon and Spa in Wisconsin for putting this together and for inviting me to be a part of it. I hope that you're all staying at home and staying safe. And I'm glad that I can be here to help keep your skills sharp while we're social distancing. I want to talk today about HydraFacial in the context of aging, and specifically premature aging of the skin. We know that HydraFacial is good for just about everybody. We like to say if you've got skin, you're in. We can certainly address every skin type and just about every skin condition with HydraFacial. But for our purposes today, we're going to concentrate on aging and premature aging and how HydraFacial can help solve some of those issues for your clients, okay? But before we jump into that, I think that we need to talk a little bit about the causes of aging and also the functions of the skin, right, as it relates to aging and as it relates to our work as estheticians and to the HydraFacial treatment and the outcomes that it can provide. So let's start with the causes of aging. We know that there are intrinsic or internal causes, as well as extrinsic or external forces that cause premature aging. Some of those intrinsic forces include genetics, but they also include chronology, which is simply that we're all aging from the moment that we're born, right? And over our lifetime, we have hormonal changes that occur, and we also have our cellular mechanisms, which start to slow down due to our age increasing. Now, the good news is only about 10% of our premature aging that takes place in the skin is caused by those intrinsic forces, which means 90% are caused by the extrinsic forces. And we can do something about those. And that includes having a HydraFacial treatment or a regular HydraFacial treatment. So what are some of those extrinsic forces? Now, we know one that we talk about all the time as estheticians is UV damage, right? Ultraviolet light is extremely damaging for our skin. It triggers a whole cascade of oxidative damage, including free radicals that have a negative impact on the health of our skin. But there's also something that I don't think we talk quite as much about, and we probably should, and that's pollution. And pollution is omnipresent. It's constant and it's everywhere. And some of us may experience more or less of it depending on where we live, but it has the same damage. It makes the same damage to the skin that UV does, which is this oxidative damage. It creates free radicals, but we can do something to circumvent it. There's also other extrinsic forces, things like our lifestyle, drinking, smoking, our diet, also any medications that we're on that are the cause of any disease we might have. These critically affect the health of our skin. And let's talk a little bit more about the skin. Now, I know, and some of you can use the chat feature if you'd like throughout my talk, if you've got any questions that come up, and I'll kind of answer them as they come in. But let's jump to talking a little bit about the skin. We know that the skin has many functions. We know as estheticians and aesthetic students that the skin is the largest organ of our body. And we wouldn't be able to live, we wouldn't be alive without our skin. It's so important. It helps to modulate temperature and regulate fluids, hence why we produce oil and why we perspire. It also helps to synthesize vitamin D, which is so important for our whole body. It also acts as a sensory organ so that we know when we're wounded. The skin also prevents dehydration And most importantly, it protects. It acts as a protection for our muscles and our organs. And it's this protection, this barrier function that is key to us as estheticians, right? We know that the very top layer of our skin, the epidermis, that top layer is called the stratum corneum. And within that stratum corneum lives this lipid matrix, which is our barrier function. And when that barrier function is disrupted, we end up with an inflammatory domino effect that wreaks havoc on our skin. And I'm going to give you an example, actually, that I took from a book by Dr. Murad. Let's say that the skin is dehydrated. Well, what happens is it sends a signal down to the sebaceous glands to produce more oil. The sebaceous glands start to produce and produce and produce more oil. Now, this oil fills up in our pores, expanding and kind of engorging the pore. In the pore falls our dead skin cells, bacteria that lives on the surface of our skin, as well as all this excess oil. So now the pilosebaceous unit is trying to push it out, and what do we end up with? We end up with pimples, right? With papules and pustules. Then as humans, we go and try to scrub it all off, right? Scrub our faces until it's squeaky clean. And then the inflammatory response starts all over again. So it's a vicious cycle that occurs. And the HydraFacial treatment is perfect to help restore and maintain the health of our barrier. And another thing that I learned in this book that I'm reading by Dr. Murad is that one of the best things that we can do for our clients as estheticians is to stop treating the skin and stop categorizing it as normal or dry or combination. Instead, categorize it as healthy barrier or unhealthy barrier. And you'll notice signs of an unhealthy barrier when you start to see things like redness, flaking, itchiness, a rash, when people become sensitized to product. These are all signs that their barrier health has been impaired, okay? And that's where HydraFacial comes in. So let's talk a little bit more about that. I want to start by talking about the HydroPeel tips that we use during a HydraFacial treatment. And the reason is because our tips are patented and they're unique to HydraFacial. You know, there's a lot of other competitive devices out there that claim to do what the HydraFacial treatment does, but none can do everything that HydraFacial can do, especially where our tips are concerned. And let me grab our tips. I've got a cup here with a whole variety of our tips in them. And I'm just going to start. I don't know how well you can see this on the camera. I'm going to start by talking about our Blue Universal tip, okay? Now, our tips are designed, they're called HydroPeel because they're literally peeling off the dead skin cells, right? That stratum corneum layer as we're providing a HydraFacial treatment to our clients. But what's built into the tip, which you probably can't see real well here, is this vortex. It looks like a spiral. And that is our patented Vortex technology. And what makes it so important is that it helps to simultaneously create mechanical exfoliation in the skin, but also to deposit all the nutritious ingredients that are in all of our solutions and in all of our serums. So it's a kind of a dual purpose tip, if you will. And that Vortex technology that's built into it, it helps the serum, as the serum spins through the tip and it's applied to the surface of the skin, it helps the solution to remain on the skin for a longer period of time, thereby reducing the inflammation that's occurring while we are mechanically exfoliating the skin. And this is also where Microdermabrasion and the HydraFacial treatment really stand out above Microdermabrasion. And I hope that I'm not offending anyone here when I say this, but if you're still performing microderm, if you're still receiving Microdermabrasion treatments, you're still carrying a flip phone, okay? It's old technology. And one of the things that we say at HydraFacial is that HydraFacial is the next generation of microdermabrasion. And for the very reasons that I'm speaking about right now, we really took the vacuum suction and the idea of mechanical exfoliation that Microderm provides, and we took it to the next level with the HydraFacial treatment. So what else happens when we're using the HydraFacial handpiece and we are healing those dead skin cells from the surface of the skin? The vacuum suction of the handpiece also plays a really important role. Now, the vacuum suction is going to not only slightly stretch the skin and dilate that pore so that we can vacuum out that debris that's lodged in there, but the vacuum suction also stimulates circulation, which is really important because the epidermis is wholly reliant on the blood supply to nourish it and to provide oxygen to oxygenate the tissue. So anytime that we can stimulate circulation, we're doing a service to our skin and we're improving the skin health. So let's talk a little bit about not only mechanical exfoliation that's provided in every single step of the HydraFacial treatment, but let's talk also about the addition of chemical exfoliation. This is another feature that separates the HydraFacial treatment from Microderm. So in addition to the mechanical exfoliation, we're introducing chemical exfoliation. And we're doing it in a couple of different steps throughout this treatment. It starts with the very first step, which is with the Active 4. Let me see if you can see that. There you go. With the Active 4 solution that we use during the cleansing phase. The Active 4 contains two exfoliants, lactic acid and glucosamine. And both of these help to create a little more superficial exfoliation to help us really get at removing completely that dead skin layer. Next, we also have our Glycol, our application of our Glycol product. And just as the name implies, it contains a glycolic acid and a salicylic acid. So it's a blended peel that we use. And I'm going to grab one here to show you what it looks like. Glycol actually comes in 3 different strengths. So there is Glycol Prep, which contains 7.5% glycolic acid and 2% salicylic acid. Then we also have the Glycol Peel, which is a 15% glycolic combined with 1.5% salicylic. And then for our medical spas, we even offer a Glycol Peel MD, which is a 30% glycolic with a 1.5% salicylic. Now, even though the percentage of acid rises in each of these different products, the pH remains about the same. So this is a very, it's a non-acidic peel. It's very superficial. And that is done very deliberately, right? Because one of the promises of the HydraFacial treatment is no downtime and no discomfort. And I always like to tell clients, if you want to peel your face off, go have a peel. That's not what the HydraFacial is all about. And peels are great, right? For the right skin type and the right skin condition, they're awesome. And they also are awesome to be treatment planned in with a series of HydraFacials. But that's not what the HydraFacial is all about. So it's superficial peeling to remove that dead layer, that stratum corneum layer, right? What else does glycolic acid do? If you guys know the answer, I want to see you type it into the chat. But glycolic helps to actually hydrate the skin because it instigates the skin's natural moisturization function. So glycolic has a couple of really great benefits. Whereas glycolic acid is water loving, your salicylic acid is oil loving. So we are using the salicylic in this step of the treatment to start to flush out and clean the pore where the oil is trapped, right? Think about it like liquid Drano, right? In your pipes, flushing out that oil and anything that's sitting in there. So the next step that includes chemical exfoliation during the HydraFacial treatment is your extraction step, right? And here we use our Beta HD. And just as the name implies, this is a beta hydroxy acid solution. This contains salicylic acid. Now, although we don't generally share the percentages of active ingredients in our products, you can estimate that this is approximately a 2% salicylic acid solution. And this is perfect to use during the extraction phase, because as we're extracting during a HydraFacial treatment, we raise our vacuum up to about a 22. So we're getting a little more of that stretching of the skin, we're getting a little more of that dilation of the pore, and the salicylic acid is going in and kind of flushing that pore out, right? Because that salicylic acid is oil loving, it's going to target what's inside that pore. So it's, but now Beta HD also contains honey extract, which helps to reduce too much dehydration or inflammation during this step of the treatment. So in case you haven't kind of picked up on it yet, every step of the HydraFacial treatment, mechanical exfoliation, chemical exfoliation, pore cleansing, we're always working to keep the inflammation under control, which is a key to skin health. It's a key to barrier health and barrier function, okay? So now, beyond the chemical exfoliation, there's also boosters, okay? We use booster serums well, ideally you're going to use one in every HydraFacial treatment. And booster serums are highly concentrated serums that contain specific actives. They target specific skin conditions. And you can really personalize your HydraFacial treatment for your client based on which booster you select. And that's going to help your client get to their goal, right, to the end result faster. And that's going to turn into a much happier client and a returning client, and a client that's going to provide you with referral business, right? So it would be take hours for us to go through every single booster that HydraFacial offers. Not only do we have 3 boosters that are that we produce and manufacture, but we have a whole host of boosters from our partner companies. We partner with companies like Zeo Skin Health and Elastin and Circadia and Sente. We have a brand new booster that we've partnered with Dr. Nassif to produce. So the reason for all of these boosters is quite simple. It's all about having choices, about having options. And if we go back to the idea that we're working on skin health and improving barrier function and addressing clients' skin conditions and skin concerns, all of these choices of boosters give us the opportunity to really personalize, customize that treatment and get to the solution faster, okay? So I'm going to talk about a little bit about one of our boosters, kind of give you an example of how they work. I'm going to talk about DermaBuilder, okay? DermaBuilder was actually the very first booster that HydraFacial ever produced, and it is a complex of peptides. Now, some of you might be saying, oh, I've learned in school, peptides are large molecules. They're too big to penetrate the skin. Well, think about this. We have now really prepared the skin. We have this beautiful canvas. We've mechanically exfoliated, we've chemically exfoliated, we've cleaned out the pores. We've got this beautiful canvas now that is prepped and ready to take in some great active ingredients like peptides. And don't forget that while the skin barrier does keep things out, it's not a completely impenetrable barrier. So we do have hair follicles and sebaceous glands, which do allow for penetration of actives, in addition to all the prepping you've just done with the HydraFacial treatment, okay? So when we deliver DermaBuilder or any other booster into the skin, we're actually helping to accelerate collagen production, right? We're helping to stimulate fibroblast activity. And for DermaBuilder, for example, we're doing that through the various peptides that are in this vial. These peptides are signaling peptides. So what they do is send a signal, down below to the next level of cells, who then send that signal forward to the next layer of cells, and so on and so on and so on. So you can think of it as that telephone game, right, that we probably all played as kids. That's the way that a lot of signaling peptides work. And that's the way that you're going to actually achieve the results that you're looking for, and deliver these ingredients into the deeper layers of the skin. Okay? So, having said that, let's talk about the final step of the HydraFacial treatment and how this impacts aging and premature aging. This is the application of what we call our liquid gold, okay? This is either Antiox Plus or Antiox 6, and I've got both of them here. I want to just show you these bottles. Oh, I'm getting backwards on my camera here, sorry. Antiox Plus or Antiox 6. You're going to apply either of these as the final step of the HydraFacial treatment. And the reason these are so important is because the Antiox products deliver not only low molecular weight hyaluronic acid, which helps to, these are water binders, right? So they help to rehydrate the tissue. They help to kind of refill, if you will, that lipid matrix, that barrier. But they also contain polyphenolic antioxidants, which are so important for the skin. They're anti-inflammatory, and they help to increase moisture content, and also act as anti-bacterial ingredients. So things like horse chestnut seed and arnica, vitamins E and vitamins C, also green tea extract and white tea extract. All of these ingredients can be found in our Antiox products. And this is really so important for the health of the barrier function, okay? Now, in addition to that, your Antiox Plus also delivers copper, zinc, and magnesium into the skin. So we have copper, zinc, magnesium peptides, which help to, again, reduce inflammation and condition the skin. So every step of the way, we're fighting all that inflammation, all that oxidative stress that's going to create premature aging. And now also, we've got some specialized boosters for the lips and the eyes called Perk. And I know that Perk is also is offered at Neroli along with HydraFacial, which is fantastic. But let me tell you a little bit about why Perk is so important. The Perk lip and eye treatments are specifically designed to treat these very delicate areas. As we know, the skin around our eyes and the skin on our lips is some of the thinnest skin on our entire bodies. Also, this skin has less sebaceous glands, and because of constant facial contractions, is also much more prone to developing fine lines and wrinkles prematurely. So when you use Perk Lip and Eye, I'm going to show you what these look like as well. This is your Perk Eye treatment, and this is a Perk Lip treatment. Okay, and I'm going to start. Let me start by talking a little bit about the eye treatment. I'm going to show you what the serum vial looks like in case you haven't seen this before. Now, the Perk Eye contains a lot of the same fabulous ingredients that are found in Antiox Plus. And I'm going to, I have to get my cheat sheet out, everybody, so bear with me here. Your Perk Eye treatment includes not only arnica and horse chestnut seed, which are those important antioxidants I talked about. It contains citric acid, which is going to help brighten the eye area. It also contains the low molecular weight hyaluronic to keep this area hydrated. And also contains oat kernel extract. So you're going to get a nice tensing effect around the eyes, which is just what we're looking for when we're combating aging and fine lines and wrinkles, right? The beauty of the Perk treatment is that we use about half the vial during the treatment, and we send the client home with the other half. So they're getting about a 30-day supply of this fantastic eye serum included in the price of the treatment. So that helps with compliance, and it helps with to continue the benefits of the treatment at home for 30 days until the client's ready to come in for their next HydraFacial and their next Perk treatment, okay? Let's talk a little bit about the ingredients in the Perk Lip. In Perk Lip, we've got peony extract, which helps with restore volume and color to the lips, but also aloe leaf extract, which helps to restore hydration levels, vitamins A, C, and E, as well as peppermint oil. So you get a hydration, you get a very nice light, natural kind of plumping, and the Perk lip treatment, one of my kind of favorite side effects of it is that it smooths out those lip lines. So when you apply your lipstick afterward, you get a really beautiful application, and you've smoothed out all those little cracks and crevices in your lips, and so your lipstick looks much more beautiful, and it stays hydrated. It doesn't ball up and get, kind of clumpy and waxy feeling like some lipsticks can. Now, again, just like with the Perk eye treatment, the client, you're going to use about half of this during the treatment, and you're going to send the client home with the other half. So again, they've got a 30-day supply of lip hydrator and plumper that they can use at home, which I can't think of another treatment on the market right now that includes a take-home in it. So that makes it a really great value. So if you're not seeing a whole lot of interest in your Perk treatments, you're probably not talking about them enough, and you're probably not extolling the benefits of the Perk lip and eye treatments quite enough. And hopefully this webinar will help you do that. So now that we've talked a little bit about Perk, I want to talk about something else that really sets the HydraFacial treatment apart from all of our competition. And that is the additional modalities that are available on the HydraFacial device. We'll start with facial lymphatic therapy, okay? Facial lymphatic therapy is a beautiful way to boost the immune mechanism of the skin, to reduce puffiness, any edema that might be taking place in the skin. It helps to relieve sinus congestion and pressure, but it also stimulates circulation in the skin. So as we talked about before, that circulation is so important because the blood flow is feeding oxygen and nutrients to your skin. And that's why following a facial lymphatic treatment, you'll see the skin tone and the clarity of the skin looks so beautiful. It's because of that stimulation of the circulation that's going on. And also, I want to point out, HydraFacial is the only hydrodermabrasion treatment out there on the market that has lymphatic built into it. So that's another key differentiator of our treatment. Now, in addition to lymphatic, the device also comes with red and blue LED lights. So you can offer your client either red or blue therapy or both if they need both. They're available to you. We'll start with red. We'll talk a little bit about red LED and what it does. Number one, stimulates circulation again. But number two, it also penetrates all the way down to where the fibroblast cells live in your dermis. And that helps to kind of kickstart or jumpstart those cells. Earlier, I talked, remember, about intrinsic aging, and I talked about our cellular mechanisms and how they kind of slow down with age. So red light can help kind of kickstart them. It's kind of like feeding a kid sugar, right? We're going to stimulate those fibroblasts to produce more collagen, produce more elastin, and so forth. Also, red light helps to reduce inflammation in the skin. So think about this, red reduces red. So a skin is reactive and there's a lot of redness in it. You're going to grab your red LEDs and give them an application of that at the end of their HydraFacial treatment, and it's going to be a magnificent finish. Now, if you have a client that's dealing with acne or congestion, you might use the blue lights instead, or you might use red and blue simultaneously, because the blue light actually targets the P. acne bacteria that lives inside the pore. And the way that it does this, in a nutshell, is that the blue light actually oxygenates inside the pore. It creates an oxygenated environment, which typically doesn't exist inside the pore. And guess what? P. acne bacteria, they don't like oxygen. So the oxygen helps to kill them and helps to keep the P. acne from spreading around the face. Now, if your acneic client has extreme inflammation, you might use red and blue simultaneously. So you might do a red and a blue, across their whole face, and then switch, right? So they get the benefit of both. And that's a great way to go for those clients who suffer from congestion. Now, a lot of the questions that I get recently surrounding the blue LED concern HEV, what is known as high energy visible light. And we get asked a lot, like questions like, well, does the blue LED emit UV rays? No, the answer is it doesn't. We also get a lot of questions like, well, is blue LED light the same as the blue light that we are getting from our computer screens or from fluorescent bulbs or from our smartphones? And the answer again is no, that they are two completely different wavelengths, right? Your HEV can create, again, this cascade of oxidative damage to the skin, just like UV rays. It can create wrinkles, a rough texture, sunspots, hyperpigmentation. This blue light, this HEV, comes not only from the sun, but from your computer screens, from your phones, from fluorescent bulbs. And it's not the same at all as the LED blue light, okay? So now, in conclusion, I've covered everything from lymph to lights, as I like to say, all the modalities of the HydraFacial treatment. I'd like to leave you with just two important tips. The first one is to educate. Educate your clients constantly. Tell them why you're recommending the HydraFacial treatment. Tell them why on every step of the way. You know, we like to ideally bring our clients into the treatment room and dim the lights and turn up the music and give them a nice relaxing treatment. But we've learned that, especially with HydraFacial clients, if you're not educating them about the power of this treatment and everything that's happening in every step of the treatment, you're really doing yourself a disservice. And you're doing them a disservice because they may walk away not really understanding what just happened and what a powerful treatment it is, even though it's very comfortable and non-invasive, okay? So educate, so important. We also want to encourage you at this time, while we can't work and we can't go to school and we must social distance, I want to encourage you, since you can't practice your treatments, to practice your verbiage. To think, I believe that this webinar will be recorded and you'll be able to listen to it again and again. I'm sure you'll spend all day doing that. But listen to it again. Listen to my verbiage. Get your verbiage down, get your script down, so that when you do reopen and you can start to see clients again, you really sound like the skin health expert that you are. And you can really speak to the HydraFacial in a very confident and comfortable manner so that they feel confident to try a HydraFacial treatment, especially those that haven't yet, okay? So a couple of resources and kind of a call to action that I want to leave you with. First, if you're not registered yet for HydraFacial Connect, please do so. And you can do this a couple of ways. You can leave me your name and email address in the chat box, and Jamie can get those over to me. Or you can drop an email to Jamie and she can forward it to me. But HydraFacial Connect is the digital library that HydraFacial has created for all of our customers. And there you can find all of our training videos, all of our protocols, our consent forms. You can find all of our digital assets. So you can begin to create some social media posts about HydraFacial and stay engaged with your clients and your audience during this pandemic. There's also the Skin Health Assessment, which is another great way to stay engaged with all of your clients. And if Neroli Salon and Spa is not using the assessment at this time, you might want to think about it. You can find it at, you can find it on HydraFacial Connect, but you can also find the assessment. And Jamie, I think you've got the controls of the chat feature. If you can, type in assessment.HydraFacial assessment.hydrafacial.com. You can all go to the assessment link. You can take the assessment yourself, and then you'll be able to see why it's such a great tool to stay engaged with clients during this time. And the results of the assessment that are returned to the client, they can email them to you, and that can actually trigger a virtual consult. So if you're not doing virtual consults at this time, again, a great way to stay engaged with your clients during the pandemic. So assessment.hydrafacial.com, or you can also find it on the HydraFacial Facebook page. You can find it on our Instagram feed. You can also find it on HydraFacialists, which is our Facebook group. It's a closed group that is just for HydraFacial customers. And if you're not a member of the group, I encourage you to join. You can navigate over, if you open up Facebook and type in the search bar, HydraFacialists. So it's HydraFacial, ISTS, HydraFacialists. You'll find the group. You'll have to ask to join, and then we'll go ahead and get you signed up. And you can stay in touch that way with other colleagues from all over the world. I think we've got close to 8,000 HydraFacialists in the group now, and they love to share tips and techniques and before and after photographs of their treatments. They talk a lot about boosters, which ones they use and why, and the results that they get. So it's a really fun group. What else do I have for you? I also have the Daily Do, and let me grab this. On April 1st, HydraFacial launched a fun little online game. I hope you can see that here. It's called #DailyDo, the Daily Do Challenge. And again, you can grab this from our Instagram page. I'm going to leave this up actually for a few minutes, so in case you guys want to write this down or catch this. The Daily Do is a fun way to stay involved with HydraFacial, keep your clients involved with HydraFacial. Every day of the month of April, the Do Challenge gives you some fun task or activity that you can perform, share on social media. And this is not only for our customers, this is for you to share with consumers as well, to get your consumers involved, right? And keep HydraFacial kind of top of mind for them as well. So look for the Daily Do, take the challenge. It's really fun. And I also want to remind you during this time of social distancing to not stop networking, right? Now is not the time to stop engaging with each other, with other colleagues. If you don't have a LinkedIn profile, I'm going to recommend you create one. It's a great time to start to link in with other spa and aesthetic colleagues to start to build your network. Could potentially help you with job hunting in the future, right? Especially for our students. And if you say, well, I'll build a profile, but who am I going to link in with? You guys can look me up. My profile is very simple. It's Leah Argento, simple to find. I will friend all of you. And I also want to put out there to our aesthetic students who might be listening. Here in Chicago, where I live, I do a lot of work with the students at the University of Aesthetics. I work with them and help them with crafting their resumes. Many of them have never crafted a resume before. So if that is helpful to you, reach out to me on LinkedIn or reach out to me on Facebook, and I'd be happy to work with you, okay? What else? I want to leave you with just one more thought, and that is to stay inside, stay healthy, and hopefully we'll see you all in person really soon. Thank you.